Hi there. My name is Emma and thank you for clicking. So for today's lesson, we're going to look at what not to say to women. So this lesson might be a little bit funny, it might be a little bit comical, but these things are true. I've done some research for this lesson. I've actually asked many women I know the things that they do not like it when people say to them. So what happens if you say these things? Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe it will make somebody feel uncomfortable. Worst case scenario, for some of these, they're more serious. If you're at work and you say some of these things, it could lead to you maybe losing your job or having some sort of trouble. So some of these are funny. Some of them are more serious, but they're all things that many women, so not all women, but many women find uncomfortable. So let's get started with this list. So number 1, pregnancy. So one thing that many women feel very uncomfortable about is if you ask them if they're pregnant, especially if they're not pregnant. And believe me, for many of the women I asked, this was something that has happened to them, where maybe they have a little bit of a belly, maybe not, maybe it's just the shirt they're wearing, but somebody comes up to them and says, "Oh, when are you due?" Or maybe they say, "Are you expecting? Are you pregnant? Are you going to have a baby?" These are all things you shouldn't ask women. Even if the woman has a very large belly, you're pretty sure she's pregnant. Just in case, this is something that's better not to ask women. Okay? Number 2 sort of ties in with number 1, weight. So how much does a woman weigh? Usually you wouldn't ask a woman this, but there are other things too that a lot of women may find uncomfortable. So for example, if you see a woman eating a lot of food and she's a little bit overweight, it's not a good idea to comment on this. It's just, in general practice, mentioning weight to women, whether they're skinny, whether they're fat, whatever, it's just not a good idea. It makes a lot of women feel uncomfortable and awkward. Okay, number 3, period and PMS. So the period is something that happens to women once a month. And for some women, their mood changes during this time. Maybe they get a little bit angry. Their mood might change. But you should never bring this up, especially in a workplace environment. If a woman's angry towards you, maybe there's a reason. It doesn't necessarily have to do with PMS. But regardless, you should never ask her, "Are you PMSing? Is this why you're behaving this way? Are you on your period?" These are questions that you should never ask a woman, especially in the workplace. So number 4, sweetheart, honey, sugar plum, cupcake. These are what we call terms of endearment. So they're ways to show that you really like someone. And usually people say this to their wives, their daughters, their girlfriends, maybe their sisters, depending. But these are things that you should never say to women you work with, unless you know them very, very well. In general, a lot of women, professional women, might take these terms offensively. So try not to say, "Hey, sweetheart, can you pass me that file?" No, it's better to just say, "Excuse me, can you pass me this file?" So try to avoid these words, especially in the workplace. Okay, number 5. Sexual comments. So sexual comments are comments such as, "Hey, sexy, what's up?" or "You're so hot." Comments that have to talk about how the woman's body is, maybe how she looks, telling her, things about sex. So especially in the workplace, this is definitely something that is inappropriate and unprofessional and that you should not do. It goes the same with women you don't know. Maybe women you know as well, you shouldn't make these comments to unless they're your girlfriend or something like that. But in general, try to stay away from sexual comments. And a side note of sexual comments is body language. So when you talk to a woman, it's important to look at her face. Don't spend your whole time looking at her body while you talk to her, because the woman's going to notice and it will make her feel very uncomfortable, especially in workplace situations. Now, in terms of sexual comments and body language, this is one of the more serious things on this list. And the reason is, in North America especially, if you make these types of comments to women, you can possibly be sued for sexual harassment. So it's something to definitely stay away from. Okay, number 6. You do that well for a girl. So we don't know what that is. It could be maybe you drive well for a girl. You do math well for a girl. The reason why this is a problem is it reinforces stereotypes. So what I mean by this is, by saying something like this, you drive well for a girl, it's pretty much saying, girls are horrible drivers, you're the exception. And so a lot of women don't like to hear this because, first of all, it's not true. And secondly, a lot of women will find this offensive. So even if you're trying to give a compliment, for most women, this is not a compliment. Okay, number 7, age. Now, a lot of women, especially older women, sometimes they're embarrassed about their age. Sometimes they don't want to say how old they are. So a good idea is not to ask women, especially older women, how old are they? A lot of women will either lie or they won't want to tell you, or it will make them uncomfortable. So age is something you should avoid for most women. Although for some women, they really don't care. It's better though to just avoid this question. Finally, number 8. Bitch, cunt, slut, whore. What are some other words? Skank, hoe. Now these are words that are very insulting towards women. If you listen to certain music, you might hear them, maybe on some TV shows, but these words are very, very insulting and offensive to women. And so, first of all, never use these in a workplace situation. You could get in a lot of trouble for that. And even just with women in general, they're not good words to use. So avoid using these words. Okay, so I hope you found my list useful. So again, try to avoid all of these. And maybe I'll hear some more good examples in our comments section. So if you're a woman and you've heard some sort of comments like these that you found offensive, I hope you'll actually write a comment about it so we can even make this list longer. So until next time, take care.